Once upon a time, there lived three friends named Bisi, Simi, and Morenike. They lived in the same compound with their families. Their parents were very close, and because of that, the friendship was extended to them. People thought they were sisters. Bisi was a very hardworking girl. She did menial jobs in order to be able to provide for her mother and her little sister. She was called mother of all because of her kindness and generosity. Bisi could not further her studies because she had too much responsibility at home. Simi got a scholarship into the university and so had to leave the village. But this did not end their friendship. They wrote letters to each other all the time. Morenike was neither hardworking or very smart, but she was loved too. She got married 2 years after her secondary education to a very wealthy man and moved to the town. Bisi continued to work very hard and provide for her family till her mother took ill and died. This shattered her as she was left to provide and take care of her little sister alone. Not too long, her little sister became sick. The money for her treatment was more than Bisi had. She begged for money, but the amount she got was very small compared to what her sister needed for her surgery. She told her friends too. Simi gave her all she had, but it was still small because she had no job at the time and she was still schooling. Bisi begged Morenike, but she refused to give her the money. Morenike complained to her that she had no money but bought jewelries in her presence. Morenike's greed and heartlessness broke Bisi's heart, and she reminded her of when she paid Morenike's mother's hospital bills, even when she was still working as a cleaner. During the discussion, Morenike's husband walked in and saw Bisi crying. He asked her what was wrong, and Bisi told him everything. He felt pity for her and asked her to come back the next day, that he would drop the money with his wife Morenike. Bisi was so happy and she went back to the hospital with so much excitement and told the doctors that the money would be available the next day for the surgery. The next day, Bisi went to Morenike's house to collect the money her husband had promised. But to her greatest surprise, Morenike told her that something came up at her husband's factory and that they had to use the money to sort it out. Bisi begged Morenike, but she insisted that there was no money. With so much disappointment, Bisi ran back to the hospital and begged them to be patient with her, that she would look for a way to provide the money. The doctor told her that she needs to provide the money for the surgery before evening so as to carry out the surgery before the end of the day. If not, she risks losing her sister. "I lost my mother already. I can't risk losing the only family I have left. I must do something no matter what it takes, she said to herself. Bisi went to one of her acquaintances, Chief Olumide, and begged him for money. He agreed to give her the money, but on a condition that Bisi would have to sleep with him. She refused and ran back to the hospital, only to find out that her sister's condition had become very worse. The doctor told her that her sister won't make it till the next day if the surgery was not done. She told them to give her an hour to provide the money. Bisi ran to Chief Olumide's house as it was the only option she had and agreed to his condition. When he was done, he gave Bisi the money. With so much disappointment in herself, she ran to the hospital crying just to find out that her sister had died. She wept and blamed herself for her sister's death. She was consoled by her kind neighbors and she buried her. When Simi heard the news, she traveled down to the village to console her and also told her to be strong before going back to school. Morenike, with so much shame, could not bring herself to console Bisi, and so she never came to visit Bisi. Bisi was disappointed in her, but she learned a lesson. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. She was still mourning her sister's death. One of her neighbor's daughter advised her to go back to school and that she was too young to waste her life away in the village. Bisi took her advice and told her friend Simi about it. Simi was so happy and told her how to go about it. Months later, she got an admission into the university to study accounting. She braided people's hair and did menial jobs in campus so as to meet ends need. Bisi single-handedly saw herself through school and got a very good job after. Simi got married and Bisi was engaged. One day, when Bisi and Simi came to visit Bisi's fiancé Adetunji, they saw Morenike walking in the house as the new maid. They were shocked and Bisi's fiancé asked if they knew her and they told him everything that had happened. Morenike buried her face in shame and Bisi told her husband to be that she wasn't comfortable with Morenike working for him, and he immediately sacked her. Bisi and Simi later found out that Morenike's husband sent her out of the house because of her greed and betrayal. He had given her some money to give to his parents before traveling to China, but Morenike gave the money to her lover instead, and also found out that the money Morenike's ex-husband kept for her to pay for her sister's surgery was used by Morenike. This brought out all the memories from the past and she confronted Morenike. But instead of Morenike to apologize, she threatened to tell Adetunji, which is Bisi's husband to be, that Bisi slept with Chief Olumide for money if Bisi does not give her a certain amount of money. Bisi refused and told her to do her worst. Morenike went to Adetunji and told him about Bisi and Chief Olumide. Adetunji told her that he was aware and that if not for her wickedness, Bisi wouldn't have made that decision. Adetunji told the security guard to throw Morenike out of the premises and never to let her in. Morenike wandered the streets looking for jobs and help, but no one was willing to help her. Bisi and Adetunji got married weeks later and they lived happily ever after. This is the end of this story. Thank you for listening to this story. Please like and click on the subscribe button for more interesting stories. I'll see you in our next story time.